Introverted shy guys of Reddit, how did you end up with the girl you're with now? Not every girl likes the outgoing, confident, charismatic types. I met my so at a college party. My friend and I were surrounded by a literal wall of guys that night. He kept looking over at us, but didn't come over until the end of the night, when most people were leaving. By this time, we were at a table and the guy who was sitting next to me, very confident and charismatic, left to go to the restroom, so there was an empty chair. My shy man proceeded to stand there with his back to me saying goodbye to the host or something. I nudged, maybe shoved, the chair into the back of his legs. He sat down. I said hi. So, why? He was obviously shy, which I found endearing. I was watching him from time to time. He seemed thoughtful and kind. He listened and nodded a lot, to encourage the other person to talk. He also flashed his shy smile quite a bit in his conversations. He is, in fact, all these things. He says he was terrified of the competition that night. He didn't know why I would want to talk to him. So my advice? Develop and value what you have to offer. Nothing wrong with confidence and charisma, but not everyone wants the same thing. Oh, we've been married 17 years. My first serious boyfriend was an introvert. The socially awkward, never draw attention to himself kind. We met in the dorms. He would never initiate conversations with me, but I would always catch him looking at me. We were always in the vicinity of each other, although we were barely friends. I mentioned once, in a chat with hallmates, that I've never had anyone do corny gag-worthy antics, a large on Cusack with a stereo, for me. Fast forward 2 to 3 months, we were walking to class in a group, and out of nowhere he picks a bunch of flowers, the kind that grows on a bush in tiny bouquets, and silently hands them to me. His ears were so red. That was the exact moment I fell in love with his shyness and the quiet way he showed his love. We held hands in front of the others. Maybe it doesn't seem like much to anyone, but I knew to him that kind of gesture was like Tom Cruise jumping on a sofa. I thought it was amazing that he picked up on my likes and dislikes, not just the obvious ones like the flowers. Maybe he wasn't the life of the party. I was though. Maybe he didn't know how to talk to a girl, but he had that soft loyal quality, like a golden retriever puppy, and listening skills that a lot of more socially prominent guys didn't have. He wasn't oblivious. He could pick up on cues and body language. Again, he listened, not just hearing, but paying attention like an A student in front row. TLDR, a better love story than Twilight. Got extremely lucky. I had been working at my job for 2 years. No friends. Typical just go in, work, leave. Always noticed a pretty girl there but never spoke to her. I mean, why bother, right? It won't go anywhere. Fast forward to 4 months ago. Pretty girl adds me on Facebook. Curious but don't think anything of it. She starts talking to me at work and a lot on Facebook. I just assume it's out of pity because I don't talk to anyone at work. She eventually suggests that we could see each other outside work sometime. I'm still unclear of her intentions, so I reply with oh okay, we'll see. Oh shit, what have I done? Ask her out for coffee the next day. Goes well. Even though I'm super quiet and shy, we have been dating since, and she is the best thing that has ever happened to me. Turns out she has liked me for ages, but never had the courage to act. Meanwhile, I always thought she was pretty, but I had no chance, so never did anything about it. I just got lucky that she was so interested in me instantly. I'm still shy, but she still loves me, which is pretty cool. TL points doctor got super lucky. We worked together. She thought I was cute and liked tall guys, 6 feet 4 inches. She used to always ask me to borrow my phonobook. I later found out she didn't actually need it. I never caught on. One day she brought my phonobook back with a cutout penny catalog underwear model taped to the front of it and said I thought I would spice up this boring phone book for you. That's when it finally clicked what was going on. I thought she was attractive and very bubbly yet intelligent, pretty much the opposite of me. She thought I was attractive as well and was drawn to my nice guy honesty and demeanor. I asked her out and we have been together for 9 years and have 2 kids. She brings out the best in me and has really taught me to be comfortable with myself. Although, that's easily done when you are loved so much by someone who is extroverted. It's definitely a yin-yang relationship. Was sitting in second day of BO class in college. Class had 100 plus students in it. I like to get there early to reserve my seat. Was a very shy guy and my row was always empty except me, which I didn't mind at all. Anyways, I was sitting there and I look over at the far door to watch the students pile in. A girl, obviously on the tennis team, walks in 10/10. I look at her, she looks at me, I look away because I didn't want to be awkward. Next thing I know, she's right next to me and asks if the seat next to me is taken. It isn't. She sits down. I don't know what to do, but I have to do something. Look over and say I'm Benesapet. What's your name? And put my hand out. Immediately regret the decision, because maybe a handshake is too formal. She awkwardly shakes it and gives me her name. I ask how long she's been playing tennis. She doesn't. She's on the golf team, not the tennis team. Feel like a dumbass but keep trying. She asks a couple of questions about me. I had just got back from living in France for a couple of years. I'm half French, and tell her. She's impressed and asks me to say a couple things in French. More impressed. Class starts. She mentions how she'll need a study buddy to get through this. I catch on. Tell her we should make a study group. She's all for it. I get her number to set the group up. Class ends. We go our separate ways. Next day of BO. I get to class a little later than usual. Walk in. She's in her old spot. She saved my spot. I'm on cloud 9 and never miss a day of BO. We start studying together before exams. Then we start studying together every day. I have a car. I take her out to eat every now and then. She invites me hiking a month later. Just me and her. We go up the mountain to a spot that overlooks the city. She plays my favorite song by Blues Traveler. That's when I fall in love. Ask her out on the hike down. She says yes. First kiss 2 years later, we are still together. After drinking 2 bottles of wine, I was talked, against my better judgment, into going to an event at a club with 2 friends. There I met a beautiful and smiley girl who one of them knew from elsewhere. During the sobering up period, I remembered I dislike people and clubs, so I retreated to the 24-hour cafe/lounge place across the street and drank tea, where friends and accompanying beautiful smiley girl eventually joined me. She and I talked, and it was great. She wasn't difficult to talk to like everyone else. When we all went our separate ways, we hugged and agreed we should definitely see each other again. After that we spoke on Facebook, but didn't see each other again for like 3 or 4 months, until she said she was coincidentally coming to meet friends near where I live, and that this would be a good opportunity to meet up. I later learned these friends were a ruse. We met at a pub and talked for ages about lots of our favorite things. I asked if she wanted to come stay at my house, and we've been together the 2 years since. We live together, and she's asleep next to me right now, and is by far the best thing to ever happen to me. I'd never been with anyone before her, and was beginning to give up hope. I didn't get her. She got me. She went up to me and said, "You're my boyfriend now," and since I'm too shy to say yes or no, I went with it. We have been dating for 6 years now. Maybe not quite this situation, but when I was in college, I was taking the elevator down to the basement of one of the campus buildings from the 2nd floor. This girl from one of my classes gets on at the 1st floor. She didn't say a word, but also didn't turn around and face the door like you're supposed to do on a damned elevator. As soon as the door closed, she stepped in and kissed me. We dated on and off for the rest of the year. Oh man. It was my first day in my math class. I saw this really pretty curly haired girl. She caught my eye and I sat close to her. The teacher ended up being horrible. Student teacher. So she would ask for help to explain stuff and I would too after following her lead. Eventually a group of us were confused enough we made a study group, and I still remember how happy I was when I got her number to make plans to study and look over the stuff the teacher didn't explain good enough. I ended up transferring out of the class because the teacher really was horrible, but we stayed in touch. One night she had a horrible pain and her roommate had plans elsewhere, so I took her to the hospital instead of studying, and we bonded on a whole other level. It was like I'd known her for years. Like she was instantly my new best friend. And then we just fell for each other after all the inside jokes and daily help we'd give each other. I know I got really lucky, but it made up 4 years of bad luck. When I was in high school I was extremely shy. When I moved to a new town I saw a girl in my homeroom who was very cute and interesting looking. I had a thing for old girls at the time, still do, and she had purple hair and was super artsy. I basically stalked her by finding her live journal and reading every post she made. I learned a ton about her this way, as creepy as it sounds. I learned that she really liked books, so I started bringing in weird books on philosophy that I left out in plain view. So she started asking me about the books, and I would casually show interest in things that I knew she was super into. Obviously, we really hit it off and would talk on AIM every day. She eventually confessed that she had a crush on me, so I reciprocated and we dated for around 4 months. First girl I had sex with, but that's another ridiculous story. Now many years later, I met my wife at the gym by pretending to need fitness advice. So my answer is still the same. Deception. Hey, I'm the girlfriend of the shy guy. Dude was maximum level introverted. He was terrified and unsure and just going along with the flirts that I was sending his way, and that was the exact right thing to do. He put himself in a social situation, and I showed up to consume him. He had the social awareness to know when I was hitting on him, and just went along with it. I did most of the heavy lifting. Hey, you're cute, let's talk for an hour about Warhammer 40k. We should talk more about Space Marines at another place, okay? Yes, I'm touching your chest. But my dude was excellent in being aware of my hit-ons and responding to them, despite the fear that was very obviously there. I like taking control. I find it really flattering when a guy is scared of me. My dude was terrified, like virgin terrified, and all the anxiety and self-defeating thoughts and everything was attractive to me. I took all that fear as a compliment and used it to drive my flirts until, oops, it is 5 years later and he has met my grandparents. Everything flowed from that single point, and that point was accepting that this is happening. Let's just go with it. Shy guys, your fear is adorable. Women will respond. Sometimes we are strong and will want to drag you off to play arcade games and teach us how to dominate as immortal Necron overlords. Learn, adapt, accept. Just go with it. For me, the trick was to be cool with being alone. I found my happiness, worked on improving myself, and eventually women started noticing me. There is definitely something to the confidence is sexy thing. I guess my advice is, live your life, and don't obsess about being single. Also, going to the gym helps, because the better you think you look, the more confidence you project. The first time I saw the girl I'm with now, she was wearing a black and white Beatles shirt, with black capris, and black Converses. And I knew I would one day make her mine the minute I saw her smile. But I'm an awkward dork, and so I thought it would be hard. Turns out, she felt the exact way when she first saw me. We've got a million things in common, and find out more things in common every day. It's like finding a new piece of a puzzle constantly. So I friended her on Facebook, and since then we've constantly been communicating like that. More text, whatever. I joked about her liking a guy she obviously didn't like who was kinda gross, and she said, "Ooh, why did you have to bring that up?" And I told her to think of the guy she wanted to date. She told me to think of the girl I wanted to date. So we sat thinking of each other until I had the courage to say, "I'm thinking about you, by the way." And so yeah, I took her to a lakeside park after a football game one Friday night, got on one knee, and in a super dorky voice asked her to be my girlfriend. I'm the girlfriend of a shy guy. It was a very slow, gradual process that I didn't expect, honestly. We were friends since we were kids, pretty much. 4 years I didn't realize he liked me, although now I look back and I can see the awkward things he'd do just to be around me. One night, we were out for pizza and decided to get a few drinks. We got drunk and we danced, nothing unusual. When we were walking back to the car, I stopped to lean in a doorway for a second, and he was trying to help me stand, and then we just started making out. He drives me home, we kiss again, but then nothing happens again, until we are at the same party for New Year's, where he is extremely intoxicated, and kisses me rather passionately at midnight. Fast forward about a week and I see him again. We watch TV at his house and he asks me what I'm looking for from him, and I was really straightforward in telling him that he was one of my best friends, and after that night we went out. I developed a bit of a crush on him, but he made it clear he was just wanting to have fun and see what happens, so I backed off big time. I wasn't looking to complicate a good friendship. We remained friends for another 2 years, never really crossing that line again. His friends started coming on to me and we would mess around, not really trying to be serious or anything, just having a good time. Well, when he heard about it, he got physically ill and he sent me a text the morning after he found out about his best friend and myself saying we need to talk. I went over to his house that night and he told me he likes me and he wants to be with me. Now we are living together and it's really the best, easiest, and most natural relationship I've ever been in. TLDR, we were friends and he always liked me, but was always too chicken. I got involved with his best friend and he couldn't handle it, so he made the move. Do you have any introverted dating stories? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. For more content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel.